Over 1,500 artists applied, 48 were shortlisted, 300 wildcards joined the competition, 8 made it to the semi-final, and today we're down to the last 3.
So we brought them to this suitably magnificent landscape surrounding some of Britain's most spectacular and historic buildings here in Greenwich.
It's famous throughout the world as the place where time is measured. It was a former home to the royal family, and today it's the setting for the final of Sky Arts Landscape Artist of the Year. Over the summer, we've challenged our artists with a range of complex and surprising landscapes.
From swarming sandy beaches to fairy tale castles.
What am I going to do?
Towering abbeys to colossal container ports.
A great big ship just come along and parked itself right in the middle of the painting.
They've endured high winds.
No, it's all going to fly away.
Stormy seas and torrential downpours.
I quite like painting grey, but this is going to be really pushing it to the extreme.
But 3 artists overcame every challenge they faced. Greg Mason, Alan Martin,
Gash.
Did I ever get to think I'd be in the final? No, just complete shock. Still think I'm in some sort of alternative reality.
To win, you know, it's an incredible achievement. Definitely spur me on to even greater heights.
If I hear my name called at the end, I think my heart might stop beating and you might have to pick me up off the floor.
Today, they have one final chance to give it everything they've got.
But you can't paint that in 4.5 hours. Are you a sadist?
Don't be stressed, it's only the final.
Cheers.
Just hope the railing thing, it's just not working the way it is. Oh, God. This is a panic.
They're all competing for an extraordinary prize, a £10,000 commission from the Imperial War Museum to create an artwork inspired by the landscape of a First World War battlefield.
That museum commissions the best contemporary artists to make works, and now our winner will be amongst them. So it really is an absolutely critical moment for their career.
This is Gregory Stressed, by the way.
I know what I need to do now. It's very scary.
To win, our artists will have to impress our 3 judges. Independent curator Kathleen Soriano, art historian Kate Bryan, and award-winning artist Taishan Scherenberg.
Are you happy with that?
Yeah, I'm happy with the tree.
OK, I mean, why?
Because I think it's a nice tree.
So which of our 3 finalists will triumph today and walk away with the prize and the coveted title? The Landscape Artist of the Year is...
Goodness me. That's quite a view. If I wasn't nervous before, I am now.
I think the last time I saw this view was when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And none of that was actually there at the point at that time.
Oh, what, the city?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
No.
I mean, there's so much history here.
The iconic view of the capital our artists are taking on today is from Greenwich Park and encompasses an array of architectural styles, from the neoclassical Queen's House and the old Royal Naval College to the skyscrapers of Canary Wharf. The pods sit alongside the Royal Observatory, a symbol of Britain's proud naval history.
We've basically compressed an entire city into this one big slice, and it's got real distance.
The weather, sort of with this sort of heavy sky that flattens some of the greys behind us, it feels like it's more suited to Alan and Jen somehow.
Yeah, I would agree.
Whereas I think Greg will benefit if that sun comes out this afternoon.
This view is awesome, daunting, challenging, basically quite frightening because it's the whole of London in front of me. There's trees, which is great because I've only been to the beach so far.
This is what you call a finalist's view. I mean, it's the ultimate challenge, isn't it? There's so much in there. It is a bit overwhelming, and I'm not quite sure where to start right now.
Sure, I think if you're going to paint it, it's going to be a difficult view to paint. Notice I said if.
Artists, your challenge is about to begin.
This is the final, and so the judges are expecting truly exceptional paintings. That's why they're allowing you 30 minutes extra to explore your surroundings, seek out inspiration, and create something worthy of the occasion.
So you have 4.5 hours to complete your final landscape. Good luck. Your time starts now. While Alan and Greg head down the hill towards the Naval College, Jen is heading off the beaten track.
Hang on to your hats, I'm going in the bush. You can come in with me. I like hiding, quite like hiding.
This angle, I think, gives me a little bit of what I'm looking for in terms of making things easier to understand. Let's see.
Well, I've left the pod, I've moved position down here, so actually I can look back up at the hill where the observatory is. So I'm quite familiar with the history of Greenwich, you know, it's nautical, and that's actually been an interest of mine from when I was young.
It's not the first time in the competition that Glasgow-born artist Alan Martin has been captivated by an alternative view. In his heat at Inverary Castle, he chose to paint not the building in front of him, but a forbidding watchtower on the nearby hill.
At the semi-final, he all but ignored Felixstowe Docks, choosing instead to paint the 2 observation towers of a nearby military fort.
Alan excites me because he's very, very good at finding a particular viewpoint. He turned his back on the main view in front of him. In finding that element, he can give you a real essence of the day and of the experience.
Knowing you a little bit as I do from the heats,
Yes.
I imagine you're not painting the view that you're sat in front of. Would that be fair enough? Or are you...
Do you know what? I think that's very perceptive of you.
So what are we attempting to paint today?
Well, I actually wanted to paint the observatory itself.
OK.
Because of the resonance for me.
Do I remember rightly, did you once tell me that you had ambitions to go into the Navy?
To be more specific, the Royal Fleet Auxiliary, yes.
Oh, right. What is that exactly?
It's the supply ships for the Royal Navy.
Oh, OK.
But the beauty of it is that you're unarmed, so you're an absolute target.
That was your ambition?
Absolutely. But, but my grandmother was fiercely opposed to it.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
So this must be an interesting place for you to come.
Well, absolutely. I mean, for me, that, while beautiful and intriguing, doesn't suit what I do as an artist, because I'm not a landscape artist.
Don't tell anybody.
No.
This is Landscape Artist of the Year.
Oh, God, yeah. No, I realise that. I've sneaked in.
You have sneaked in. Security?
So what I'm doing right now, I've just laid out 3 acrylic colours. They are going to be my underpainting, so blue on the landscape, an ochre on the sky, and like a purple for the middle distance and far distance. I'm taking it straight on. For better or for worse, that's what's going to be my painting.
London-born artist Greg Mason isn't afraid of using a large-scale canvas to tackle a complex view. At the semi-final, he impressed the judges for boldly confronting the expansive vista of cranes and shipping containers.
He won his heat at Studley Royal Park in North Yorkshire with a diptych and was praised for his sophisticated conceptual approach and his sense of narrative.
Greg's an interesting artist. He's got many strings to his bow. He has a very sharp brain when it comes to finding interesting narratives through a painting. Then he showed us in Felixstowe that he can just paint in a very sort of bravura, kind of beautifully painted way. I'm quite intrigued to see what he produces today. So, Greg, I'm visiting you in your wind tunnel. That's a bright start.
I think every step along the way, I've tried something different.
Now, it's a very complicated view. I was asked this morning how I would approach it, and I thought the best thing is to run away.
What I'm really trying to do is focus on the moment that's in front of me. It's a straight view, it's symmetrical, I'm hitting this face on. I think the hero is the Queen's house. Hopefully, within 4 hours, I can achieve that.
Well, it looks a very intriguing start. I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with.
While Alan and Greg are busy covering their canvases, Jen is still trying to determine her composition.
It's the cross of those two paths, but also how this path curves into the tree and also the fence. That is what's exciting me here, but the cross is particularly interesting.
Gloucestershire-based artist Jen Gash prides herself on searching for the hidden character of a landscape. At her heat at Broadstairs in Kent, she depicted the faded beach huts and crumbling cliffs behind, evoking a nostalgic seaside scene full of mood and mystery.
At the semi-final, she won over the judges with an atmospheric and intriguing depiction of cranes and containers.
Jen is the more radical of our artists. She's not so much a landscape painter as an atmosphere painter. She does so much with so little. She really transports you to a place without having to fill in all the detail. It will look very other, and it's that otherness that is so exciting. I've been wandering around and you haven't been here. Where have you been?
Not far, actually. Just kind of went over there and did a bit of exploring.
So buried down in the bushes. Are you down there looking for, like, the sort of Jen secret doorway into this view? Is that what you're hunting for?
Might be. I need to sort of go kind of a bit quiet and then, yeah, feel what's going on around me.
And then try and emerge from it like a butterfly.
Yeah, I like the emerge bit. I'm not sure about the butterfly bit. but yeah, and that's why I'm quite happy to be quite slow at the start, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
we don't call you Speedy Gonzales. No, that's not what your nickname is.
As the end of the first hour approaches, and with a £10,000 commission at stake, our three finalists are under pressure to get their paintings just right.
I'm just mapping in at the moment the horizon, this incredible kind of silhouette of skyscrapers. Trying to remember to breathe.
The muted sort of, all my colours I seem to use, it just sort of happens. There's some more conscious choices today because there's a lot of purple out there.
What I am doing just now is I'm blocking areas in, which gives me the general feel, and then I can start to actually work into some detail. I start slowly and continue slowly.
Here in Greenwich Park, our three artists are entering R2 of their final challenge, the stage where their painting should be taking shape.
I'm working really quickly right now because the sky's coming good, and it may not be good like this for very long.
The main challenge actually is to give you a real sense of the building, so it's to still have this sort of darkness that I work with very often.
Behind me right now is my eldest daughter, Gilly, and my niece, Poppy. And they're probably thinking, oh my God, Mum's done nothing to the painting yet. I think I'm a little bit behind the others, maybe.
But what do you worry about?
I just worry about sort of lacking focus. I'm having to exercise the most focus I've ever had in my life. Whenever I panic, I look at the sketch and go, no, go back to the sketch. Forget actually the view that you can see. Think about your sketch.
The sketch strips away all the extraneous stuff you don't need. The sketch has simplified it.
Exactly.
I'll go away.
All right,
leave
darling.
you to your
See
focus.
you later. Bye.
What a view.
It's fantastic.
But you can't paint that in 4.5 hours. Are you a sadist?
I didn't mean to be a sadist. We thought this was a great view.
You're a sadist.
Problematic for me is this symmetry that we've got in the old buildings in front of us. And then you get the jumble in the background, which is very abstract. And I would have thought the artists would have had to do some very strict editing.
Yeah.
Or go for an impression of this.
If you were filming this, you start with nature, you then move into this very civilized, decorous set of buildings here, and then the city, the modern day, suddenly is looming up behind it. I think what I'm trying to say, though, is that pictures are better when they move.
Well, you're in the wrong competition then, Stephen, aren't you?
The challenging view in front of them is not the only thing the artists have to contend with in their bid to win the competition. Each finalist was also tasked by the judges to complete a commission designed to test their unique individual skills.
trying to find a winner, and we need as much information as we can. The commission's always just fundamentally important. We need to feel like the paintings are competing.
With just 2 weeks to complete the commission, each artist began by visiting a specially selected landscape. And for Alan, that meant a trip to a picturesque lighthouse in Norfolk.
That's very red and white. It strikes me as a very picture postcard image.
Alan, with a very inquisitive mind, likes to find other things to look at rather than the location given to him. And in Haysborough, the lighthouse on the cliff is all there is. And we thought, OK, Alan, let's deal with the landscape we give you and see what you come up with.
Primary colours, not what I would choose usually.
Jen was sent to the bustling south coast to take on Brighton's famous Palace Pier.
This is just such a rich landscape. The structure is lovely. I get very excited now because I've been guessing for weeks, trying to guess where we're going.
I knew that this was a great location for Jen. It's on the one hand very joyous, very pretty, and on the other hand, you know, there's a bit of a darker underbelly there. If Jen doesn't deliver us a really nuanced, atmospheric painting, then I'll be disappointed because I know she's got it in her.
Greg headed to Lincoln City, a place dominated by its medieval cathedral.
It's impressive. It's vast, isn't it? Huge. OK. Just taking that in.
We know from talking to him that he's really interested in depicting scenes where you can feel and see the impact of man on the landscape. And the thing about Lincoln Cathedral is it has this looming presence, and we thought he'd be quite inspired by that, really.
To help each artist better understand their landscape, they were introduced to a local expert.
Thanks for
In Haysborough, Alan met Stephen Burke, a local campaigner trying to save the 200-year-old lighthouse from a growing threat.
I know that coastal erosion then is now part of a feature of the area.
It's massive. You can see how close we are, and getting closer all the time. We've lost several houses down there, and some houses were demolished, and one house went over the cliff edge.
Right. So that was a road then?
Yeah.
Does the road just stop?
And the road literally falls
stops
into the ocean, yes. We don't have any real defences at the moment, and that's what we're campaigning for.
Yes.
Haysborough without the lighthouse would be nothing.
Right.
In Brighton, Jen was introduced to the dark side of the seaside by local historian Dr. Geoffrey Mead.
Everyone likes the top of the pier, the amusement arcades, the chip shops, the seagulls swooping around. People don't think what's under their feet. Brighton's a bit like that. We do have a lot of social problems in Brighton related to the fact that it's a seaside resort. Of course, Graham Greene in Brighton Rock really explored this. The pier having two parts is something people don't often consider.
You've given me some great ideas.
That's what I'm here for.
Until the mid-16th century, Lincoln Cathedral was the world's tallest building.
How far have you come today?
From Exeter.
Exeter? Well,
yeah.
Welcome to a proper cathedral city.
Greg met with verger John Campbell to find out more about its 1,000-year-old history.
You can see Lincoln Cathedral in the daylight from up to 35 miles away. Wow. You can imagine that medieval atmosphere to draw people to what is the mystery of the building. I think it was showing some of the fear of God as well. You can imagine that small person trembling at the awe of this place.
The artists now had an opportunity to find their own unique interpretation of the landscape.
The erosion part intrigues me, so having the cliff in there could refer to that.
There's some nice raw iron rails there. So I'm just doing a bit of a quick charcoal sketch, and then got about 15 other sketches, I think, to do.
And we're up on top of a roof. We've got chimneys in front of us. We've got the scaffolding. So if I can catch something kind of gritty about the cathedral, that will be great for me.
Now the light's starting to change, so I'm kind of thinking that I might be sort of working right up until midnight.
But working in the fading light was all part of the judge's plan.
The light is changing, and it's changing rather quickly. To kind of get as much information as you want, potentially it's going to be quite difficult.
And the artists were asked to stay at their location until night had fallen.
This challenge was actually to give our three finalists a location that was affected dramatically by changes in light. to see whether they could deal with this idea of shifting forms, and also whether through the light change they could find a new access to the landscape. I wanted something new. I wanted something new said about sunset.
Sunset scenes, never done one. But I don't see this as a sunset scene. I see this as an atmosphere. This is still just part of the process of telling a story in the painting that I do.
Already you can see the light on the pier coming alive, and it's not really very dark yet. I've got to take another photo because it's just changing as we speak.
The light's incredible. When I put down this kind of bright blue and the ochre about 10, 15 minutes ago, it was completely right. Now, it's completely wrong.
Day turns into night, and each of our artist landscapes takes on a completely new persona.
So now it's getting dark enough so that the actual light from the lighthouse is registering. So I'm just looking at just blue and this sort of pinky orange of the landscape. So forgetting the lighthouse and just doing a quick kind of sense of that in this very quick painting.
It's really tricky not to make it amusement arcadey. Not really interested in that personally. The sort of secrets of the pier, dark side. Yeah, I really like that. I'm really tired. I can hear my voice going all croaky.
So the light has gone now into some really strong contrasts. I'm telling myself not to worry about whether or not I like my painting, because it does look kind of a mess, but I'm asking myself, what am I learning from my painting? And that, I think, is the purpose of today.
What I'm doing now is painting in the dark. I think I'm going to have to stop painting.
With their trip complete, the artists then had 2 weeks to produce their paintings in their respective studios. And the finished works will be unveiled for the very first time before the final judging.
Here in Greenwich Park, our 3 finalists are reaching the halfway point of their timed challenge to paint this iconic view of London.
Well, I've been waiting for the moment to put the sky in. Still base layer, so I'm still going to work on top of this in oil in about 5 minutes' time. I'm a little bit terrified under the surface that I'm going to run out of time here. But do you know what? It's going to be what it is. And I'm just going to keep the energy going into the painting.
I've got the actual gist of everything in the sketch. I can see a bit of the slope down to the lovely cross of the path, and then there's a bit of the Naval College sort of in the top corner-ish. There's not going to be much time spare at the end, but I'd rather it be that way than kind of have time at the end in which to wreck whatever I've done. So I'm feeling all right about where I am, actually.
I like that, actually, trying to merge a very monochromatic feeling to get this moodiness. No, I don't think you get used to working under these circumstances, because usually a painting like a quarter of this size could take me 2 or 3 days.
Here at Greenwich Park, our 3 finalists are into hour 3 of their final challenge of the competition.
Oh, is it going to rain? Do you think it's going to rain? The sky has hit a moment which is really useful to me right now. And it's time to lay in some oil colour and see if I can capture just that moment of light.
I'm still just kind of drawing in the main points, and then I want to hopefully do some very quick kind of drawing in of things like windows and frames and stuff like that, just so you get a sense of the building. In a way, wish I could work faster, but it's just sort of doesn't come naturally, I'm sorry, you know.
The foreground's really not working. I know what I need to do now. It's very scary, but I need something stronger in the foreground, I think. There's probably a railing that's going to go in, so it will help the rest of it fall back, hopefully. That's the plan.
Halfway through, Greg powering ahead.
The way in which he's treating the sky as well and the clouds, you feel as if he really is an artist who understands about working on plein air. But the other thing that Greg has done that I think is really brave is he's taken a really big canvas and it's given us the whole of that view.
It's an exact replica of what's in front of us. Maybe he'll find more here and make something more of it, but at the moment it's literal.
Jen is having an emotional wrestle, partly with herself as much as with the view.
I really like the mood and that wonderful X and the way she's got it off to her side. It's almost as if we're in the landscape because she's produced something which is beginning to look and feel quite seductive.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit hairy, time-wise. She really took a long time to get going. She will look very undone compared to the other two if she doesn't speed up a bit.
And someone has kidnapped Alan and tied him up in a cupboard because there's some bloke at the end painting with quite a lot of colour.
Yeah. Like the rest of them, he knows it's a competition, so trying to take risks, trying to do things that he knows will challenge what we think of him.
He's working solely from photographs, and what's happened is the observatory looks a bit suburban to me.
I think it's early stages, so I've got a funny feeling that what we'll see over the last couple of hours is him really start to build that detail in.
We've got three very different takes on the view in front of us, so it'll make for an interesting afternoon.
In the foreground of today's view, hidden among the multiple buildings that make up the old Royal Naval College, is Britain's answer to the Sistine Chapel. The Painted Hall by James Thornhill was intended as a dining room for the naval veterans of Greenwich Hospital. But thanks to the endeavours of one man, it became home to one of Britain's first free public galleries.
Edward Hawke Locker was quite a visionary man, really. The whole idea of national galleries was only really happening at around this time. And it came at a time where philanthropists wanted to bring their work together.
By the 1820s, Edward Hawke Locker, the hospital's secretary, felt the relatively unused Painted Hall must be shared, and he enlisted the support of one of the country's most prominent art collectors.
George IV kick-started the whole project by donating 30 works from his collection, and then he actually commissioned Turner to create a painting, his largest painting actually that he ever made, for the college on the subject of the Battle of Trafalgar.
Turner's Battle of Trafalgar was the centrepiece of an extraordinary collection, which opened in 1824, bringing many famous artworks to the public for the very first time.
What's really important is that Edward Hawke Locker believed in free entry, and he fought through Parliament so it could be enjoyed by everybody and accessible to everybody. And it's a tenet that museums and galleries hold on to today. And all credit really to Edward Hawke Locker.
The gallery was closed in 1936 and the collection moved across the road to become the National Maritime Museum.
Back up the hill in the pods, our artists are well into the third hour of their 4.5-hour challenge.
It's very satisfying to know that 150 years ago they'd recognised that painting.
Yes.
They wouldn't recognise the landscape in front of us, would they?
That's a really good point, yeah.
While Alan's working with small brushes and fine detail, Jen's making a bold decision with something a bit larger.
I know the railings aren't curvy, but I think they're going to have to be less curvy than I've done. God, everyone's going to go mad. I can just see my family watching this going, what is she doing?
How are you getting on?
Yeah, you've met me at the most stressed version of Gregory ever.
Why are you stressed? It's not like you haven't got much painting there. There's loads there.
I've done a lot of painting, just maybe not enough. Now it's about making people see the thing that I want them to see. Cranes and crazy stuff, you know, destroyed the view of this beautiful kind of 17th century Palladian villa.
So you've put Canary Wharf very purposefully into silhouette.
Totally.
Right. Well, I get that.
Good.
Don't be stressed. It's only the final.
Cheers.
Just hope the railing thing's just not working the way it is. So off quite a lot of it comes. Oh God. This is a panic. Oh well.
How's the Jen emotional roller coaster today?
She's kind of like come off of the coaster.
Right.
And is dangling in midair.
What I love about you is you never just get up and paint something. There is a whole
Torture.
life. There is to every painting. There's an emotional toll on you.
It looks better from over there.
Okay.
So...
Well, I'll tell the judges to stand over there when the time comes. The last thing I want to do is panic you. But you're running out of time, so get on with it.
I know. Thank you.
As the pressure mounts for the artists, the number of spectators has increased. But among the crowd are family and friends here to offer their support.
How are you feeling? All right? Push for time?
Yeah,
A little bit. I think it's really lovely, the sky.
Well, it's, you know, it's starting to have the feel
Yeah, definitely.
that I was hoping for.
Good. So you will get you. Crack on.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Art means absolutely everything to my dad. It's like living in a gallery sometimes at home. There's no family photos, but a load of paintings, load of prints.
Whatever happens, happens. Like, we're going to be celebrating regardless because we're so overwhelmingly proud of him. Yeah.
Supporting Jen are 3 generations of her family, including her mum, Maggie, her husband, Jeff, and her daughter, Jilly.
How's it going? Well, I just rescued this appalling thing. I tried to put in this rail. It's not my best painting, Sweetie. I'm sorry I've let you all down.
You haven't. It's fine.
Yeah.
Good luck.
I love you.
I love you too.
We'd love her to win. It really would be absolutely brilliant for her.
Me and my mum have had like a really hard past like 2 years or so, because I had like 2 years basically out of school with depression for me, and like she's been caring for me that whole time, and like this whole competition is like a huge changing point in her life. I feel like amazingly proud of my mum for getting through like what we've been through and ending it in such an amazing way, really. So yeah, she's amazing.
So you like it,
looks so different when you come up close. It looks fantastic from back, but
it holds together up
holds
close.
together up close because I can see that the technique you've used is even across the canvas.
That's what I want.
Quite like even the misty bits you've got going on over here. I do feel a little nervous. There's a lot to accomplish, and he's set himself a very ambitious task today. I'm proud of him, whatever happens today.
With the title of Landscape Artist of the Year within their reach, our 3 finalists are entering the last half hour of the competition.
I've put in the red ball, the time ball that sits on top of the building there. So that was one of the reasons for using colour today, actually. The stage we're at, panic.
I made choices, and you kind of have to go with them, and that's just how it is. The painting will be what it will be now, and that's that.
At this moment, I'm under so much pressure I can't think beyond it. So I'm working my socks off.
In Greenwich Park, our 3 artists are in the final moments of their bid to be crowned Landscape Artist of the Year.
Still painting furiously, and I feel like I should have been not painting furiously. I'm feeling really rubbish. Never mind.
I feel stressed. A lot more time would be very useful.
Artists, you have 5 minutes left.
I did not picture my painting like this at the beginning of the day. I didn't expect this to be so difficult.
There's things I wanted to do which I'm not going to manage, probably. I can only do what I've got in 5 minutes now.
I'm an absolute emotional wreck. I've held it together for weeks now, and this is it. I'm gone.
Artists, you have 1 minute left. Just 1 minute.
The only thing I can think of now is just getting the flies off my canvas, so I'm going to do that. Come on.
Artists, that's it. Your time is up.
Put down your brushes and stand away from your work.
I'm so glad you got that over. Oh, you've done an amazing painting.
Well done. Wow, that was hard. Yeah. If I look inside, it's a happy emotion, but happy tired.
Kind of relieved it's done. It's finished now. So when I step back from it, I think, OK, you know, the dynamic's there that I wanted.
Today was lots of highs and lots of lows, probably more lows than highs. I found it really challenging all day.
It's now in the hands of the judges, who get to see the 3 commission works for the very first time.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness,
Oh,
this is
my God.
going to be difficult. God, you can feel it already, can't you?
Wow.
No, they're really, yes.
That's pretty impressive, isn't it? Big.
I'd never been to Lincoln before, but the cathedral really dominates that cityscape. I sat on this rooftop and the light dimmed. There were 2 key moments, but the problem was I couldn't do it in one painting.
I think he has managed to capture the dominance that this place has over the city. I also think Greg was really lucky, actually, that the scaffolding was there because it's made it sort of grittier, more urban, more real.
It's a comment on the artificial light, but at different times of night, and he's sort of investigating that. So it's very interesting conceptually.
What about this painting today? I mean, this is a bit more of an obvious composition.
But, you know, credit to him. He painted the view that was in front of him.
Yeah.
You know, God forbid that someone should actually do that. I think he's done really well on the colours that that white sky sort of gave us today with those lovely blues and mauves in the distance.
And the light is definitely London.
Yeah.
I'm still a bit upset that that house is smack in the middle. It just seemed a bit obvious to me.
The commission painting I selected was the view from underneath the pier, looking through the darkness, and you just see a hint of the bright lights.
I really love this painting. I'm really transported there. God, this colour palette, it's like a rusting painting.
Like all really good artists, what Jen has done is she's found the corner that might be ignored, that might not be looked at, and she's given it a grandeur and given it an elegance.
And the way that, as the light falls in the evening, it sort of gathers on the horizon. It's a very masterful piece of painting.
I like what she did today. I think the colour palette was great. I think it was a good compositional choice. I think the only thing that I feel is a bit unresolved is the house.
I mean, the tree on the right there is a miracle. I mean, it's just there's nothing there, and yet there's volume, there's light. You get glimpses of this brilliance, but obviously the time ran out.
When I first arrived in Hillsborough and saw the lighthouse, it was like a picture postcard, and I just thought, nightmare. And then I had a discussion with one of the team that look after the lighthouse, and there were aspects of the coastal erosion, there's coastal defences, and include them in the painting in some way.
This foreboding black nothingness that stopped us entering the landscape, it has got something, in a funny way, very prehistoric about it, and he's caught that very well. I'm a bit worried about the colours. I think what we've always liked about Alan's palette is its subduedness and its sort of moodiness.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because sunsets are problematic. I think that is a beautifully painted sunset, though. And I love the way that he lets the light just fall really, really gently over the cliff face. It's got a really kind of romantic, filmic quality to it. This painting today, I think the way that he's captured the sense of this place having been an important part of London for a long time, it feels like it's got a really good presence.
When you sit alongside the lighthouse, you can understand that it's the same approach.
You feel like this is a moving landscape. It's got a real sense of the kind of landscape rushing past you.
I must say I don't envy you your job, because these are so diverse in their style and so strong in their style. I mean, look at Greg's. This is sensational in its impact.
He's showing us what he can do, and we saw that in Studley, the way he split up the canvas into 2 and brought a conceptual edge to it. And there's a finishedness to Lincoln Cathedral that he has there. And then in Felixstowe, there was a paintiness of the scene in front of him, and he's showing us today that he can do all these things with a conceptual edge.
Now, Jen, totally different style.
I mean, Jen's so much about mood and, she's very romantic. She has a sort of a wonderful, timeless range that she finds. I think there's a lot of emotional power in those works.
She'll show you something reduced, but it's not sort of reduced of energy and time and place. It speaks volumes in the absence of things, I think.
I think the way Alan treats nature, it comes very naturally to him, and he's got a very beautiful language in portraying that.
I think you'd say his paintings are quite sort of enigmatic and filmic. I can see they're the same artist, and I think they show that he's got good range. When you look at all these works, there's three really accomplished artists who know the kind of work that they make, and we've kind of, really fallen for all three of them. And so now we're in a really difficult position.
All I can say is don't get it wrong.
Thanks.
Good luck. Greg, Jen, Alan, thank you all enormously for making this a nail-biting final. It's been absolutely thrilling to watch you work. You are, each of you, an outstanding artist.
But as you know, this is the final. There can be only one winner. The judges have finished their deliberation and they have reached a decision. The Landscape Artist of the Year is... Jen Gash.
It's absolutely bonkers, and I can't tell you how chuffed I am and so happy and so grateful, and I don't know what else to say.
Today, there's been a really special thing that she's done in all the paintings we've seen, and that challenge, I mean, it was like the ultimate magic trick. It's just a beautiful, beautiful, special painting.
I think she paints in a very poetic way. It's not just about storytelling. There's a lot of room in her painting for contemplation and interpretation. I love you.
Jen has something else, and it's that thing that art has. It's something unquantifiable. It moves us in a way that we didn't know we could be moved, and it's opening up a whole new way of seeing the world. And that is kind of quite remarkable for an artist to be able to do that.
Jen, you are a really worthy winner of the £10,000 commission to create a painting to be displayed and sit among the prestigious artworks and collections of the Imperial War Museum.
Oh my God! That's amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, and another hug. It's going to take days and weeks to sink in because it does mark a long-awaited change. So I'm so chuffed.
Next time, Jen travels to the site of a First World War battle in Macedonia to complete her winner's commission.
It's not the view that's in front of me I'm painting, it's the pasts of all the people, all the stuff that's gone on.
And the commissioned artwork is unveiled at London's Imperial War Museum.
OK, here we go.